You guys almost have been prepped for this for years because you've got like YouTube sessions you've done, like the Instagram stuff. Like you guys are so ready.
In my gaming chair right now. I'm gonna be working on my Twitch setup soon. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Hi guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound. As you may have noticed, everyone's kind of working from home at the minute, but that's not going to stop us bringing you interviews with all your favorite bands, and today is no exception. I'm on a video call right now with none other than Set It Off frontman, Mr. Cody Carson. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Greetings from across the pond.
Yeah, good to see you, man. In weird circumstances, but very, very nice to be able to catch up with you, man.
Yeah.
I want to start all of these with that kind of basic question because it's weird times we're living in. How you doing? How you getting on being stuck at home? How's it all going for you, man?
So far, so good. It's just so weird to kind of adjust to this different, I don't even know how else to word it. It's just everything's different. Just everything is different. Like, I know that we were like running low on toilet paper, and I had to go to my local CVS and found out that in order to get any, I'd have to go there by like 7 a.m. on a Friday if I wanted it because it's gone by 10 a.m. Like things like that, like adjusting to that, and then immediately going to my local grocery store as soon as they open just to like get fruits and vegetables. Like people are like panic buying and stuff. So it's kind of hard as far as that goes. But once you just get the things that you personally need. And then we're cooped up at home, just chilling. And, you know, I've always kind of been an introvert anyways, you know, reference Lonely Dance. So this is kind of not too hard for me.
Yeah, we're going to get the sequel to Lonely Dance in the next few weeks. I can feel Quarantine it. It's coming. Dance, yeah. Nice. Well, you have to write it now. There it is. You have to get it done. It's a shame. It's a shame, of course, that the tours have been not cancelled, postponed, because you will be coming back, of course, whenever that might be. Yeah. Of course, you guys are going to be coming back. But it was such a particular shame with you guys because this live tour, you've been going strength to strength on this one, guys. You really, really have. I mean, talk to me about this particular live show that you've developed for this campaign, because it really felt like you took things up a gear even further than you were before.
That means a lot that you would say that. I appreciate that. We've been working really hard just to constantly better ourselves and better our live show. And I think a big thing that's always been really important to us is our crowd interaction. And like, what's something we haven't done that we can now introduce and get everyone, we want everyone to go home and be like, wow, like they have a story, a specific moment in the set that meant a lot to them, or they need to be able to walk away remembering something really fun or a moment that they had or an emotion they felt that was overwhelming or something like that. And I think just the more we've been working on that, the more comfortable the three of us have gotten. And I think the most confident we've been in a long time. I think it was the release of Midnight and seeing the response to that, and then just really coming into our own individually and then as a group. So it was just an absolute pleasure playing this set. There's one part in particular that I'm going to miss until the next time we can get back out there because I'm going to do it. Everyone in the UK needs to experience this. It's this thing where just basically, instead of just jumping, we have the whole crowd jump left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, like that. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to bring that over there. This one was especially hard just because like I know the story was out last year, but I had like a vocal surgery, so this got postponed to then, and then we're right about to go, and then obviously the epidemic, or the pandemic rather, has spread. So obviously circumstances are out of control, but you know,
it's one of those things, and obviously all fans are incredibly understanding about this kind of thing. You know, it is completely out with everyone's control, but we look forward to the live show coming back. And on that note, you kind of touched upon the fact that things have been building through this album campaign. I think the last time we kind of chatted properly was, it's sort of at the beginning, really. The album had only kind of just sort of come out, and what a reaction over the last kind of year or so. I mean, congratulations, seriously. It really does feel like an amazing, amazing moment for you guys in that campaign. How are you reflecting on it now? Now there's a little bit of time frame there. How are you reflecting on Midnight as an album as a whole?
God, it's I think the first word that comes to mind is just grateful. I'm extremely grateful because it's, you know, I believe our fourth album, and it's not every day that your fourth album is kind of feeling like a resurgence. You know what I mean? And that's, to have that, to feel that was just, I'm extremely grateful. And to see like the fans really, you know, take the reins and just like bring us back like that. It gives me so much hope. And we're already working on the next album. We already have 14 songs written. My goal is for 40 plus. Now we have this time off because I'm hoping for even more. But I've already been like, you know, voice memoing and working on new stuff. It's just, I'm grateful, and now I'm ready for the next chapter. You know, it's fun to see where that went, and now it's even more exciting to see where the next era can go and what it holds. And you know, obviously, all we're looking for is growth and to grow together. So that Fan Power Award is no joke, by the way.
Yeah, legit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it was the most appropriate award you guys could have won. I know you said it in your speech yourself, but yeah, really, that community has just been building and building over the last year. And especially when you talk about the Midnight campaign as well, the fact that you've almost extended it with these extra songs and the kind of after midnight stuff, like, how rare is that? Like, I mean, being able to take an era of a band and actually be able to kind of build on it into something even bigger beyond that. Did those songs come from those original sessions, or did you feel like they fit in? How did that whole work?
So the absolute bare bones truth of it all was that we wanted those songs to be on Midnight, but just circumstances did not allow it. And so we're like, well, we're not going to let these songs die. So what we decided right then before was, well, why don't we let this current album run its course? And then when we feel like it's nearing the end of its personal cycle or era, then we will start to trickle out these songs. And we wanted to give it a personality based upon Midnight itself. So we came up with the concept of After Midnight, kind of like the dessert, I guess, to the Midnight itself, and just sort of slowly release them, because we know, like, you know, there's all these demos of songs that just never get to see the light of day, and we just would not feel comfortable if those songs fit within that category. So we wanted them to be heard, and I'm really glad we did, because everyone seemed to be really happy with them. So I'm glad it got its little limelight.
Well, then it begs the question, of course, like you say, you're working on new music already. Do you feel like it's kind of, is it moving in the same space? Because Midnight was, to me at least, I don't know what your opinion is, but it definitely felt like a slight step to the left of what you guys have done before. It's definitely still felt like a Set It Off album, but you were open to trying a lot more new things and experimenting a little bit more. Do you feel like you're going to do more experimenting? Are we going to hear a completely different sound this time, or are we building on Midnight?
I feel like anytime we're going into a new album cycle, my primary focus is, well, number one, I want to branch out. I want to do something I haven't done before. I want to learn. I want to grow. Because if I feel the way I will be the most disappointed in the next album, if I feel like we stayed exactly the same. And the bands that I listened to growing up, the only time I was ever disappointed is if the next album if it felt exactly like the previous album. Now, there's also that fine line you gotta toe between being too similar to your previous album and then going way too far, way too different with everything else, because that's where people are like, what are you doing? This isn't who I know. So I think that's the most challenging thing, honestly, about going into an album cycle, going after another one, is being able to figure out, how do I balance it like that? And I'm always going to try to experiment. I'm always going to try to do new things, but I'm also going to keep our previous sound in mind. So where it is right now is we've had a lot of fun experimenting with some new sounds, but it's always going to sound like Set It Off. It still has the angst. It still has the ventability. I'm coping a lot through writing. There's been so much that we've gone through. So to be able to vent, it just came at a perfect time. And I think that's what people mostly look for when they hear Set It Off, is just being real. Like me venting about stuff I'm going through, so that when they're having a rough time, they can turn it on and vent and scream it out and feel better through that as well. And it's already having tones of that, which I like, but also having sonically different, more adventurous stuff as well.
Exciting. Do you have any kind of timeline on that, or is it just going to be when it's done, it's done?
God, I'm very much a when it's done kind of person. I hope I don't take too long. I usually don't, but I would feel terrible if I, release something and we would feel awful if it came out and we're just like this, we just set a date and we didn't feel like it was finished. But then again, deadlines help. If I put myself on a deadline, then I know I'm going to get it done in time. But again, right now there's no rush. So
sure. We've all got some time. We've all got some time to kill, for sure.
Yeah.
And in terms of, you kind of mentioned it briefly there earlier, but in terms of personal note for yourself, like you say, you did have this big moment of the throat surgery and everything. I'm just curious now, obviously it's taken well, but these things take time to rebuild and kind of readjust. How did you find that process, building yourself back up to go back into live shows, to go back into recording?
I mean, it was definitely a scary experience, just because I've never gone through anything like that before. And I think, as any young vocalist or any vocalist in general, when you start singing, your biggest fear is, God forbid something happened to my vocal cords. And so when it happened, it was overwhelmingly terrifying. I found out that I had something when I went out for karaoke, and I went for a note in a Brian McKnight song in the bridge of Back at One, and I couldn't hit it. And first of all, I was like, oh, nope. But like, it was like scary, but I was like, oh no, okay, something's up. Went and got checked out. And then my doctor, Dr. Nasseri, has been phenomenal. He helped me out. But the recovery process was, it's kind of like, you just kind of have to accept the situation you're in, and you can't let it overwhelm you, and can't over worry for no reason. And that was the way I coped with it. I was like, okay, well, I'm here. People have been here before. People have recovered before. I'm going to get through this. I'm just going to listen to exactly what my doctor tells me to do. I'm going to get my surgery. I started taking vocal lessons again, trying to build myself back up. And then once I felt like I was singing at home at a pace and at a level that I felt good or confident in, then I felt very ready, and we started, moving forward. And the cool thing about it is I felt stronger. Like, I genuinely felt, because I was more hyper aware of my technique and how did I get here in the first place, or how do I avoid any sort of straining. And now I feel like I'm stronger than I've ever been vocally. And that, I think, is definitely the light at the end of the tunnel throughout all that stress. But it was definitely a journey, and something, even the social, like, if you want to call it a social experiment, for me, it was a requirement to just not talk at all for like 3 weeks to a month. Just, you just sit there, you listen a lot more, and it was a very interesting experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I mean, congrats on coming through the other side. It all kind of worked out as best as you could possibly have hoped, I would imagine. Yeah, can't have gone much better than that. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. This was what I was thinking about you guys as well the other day, is that now we're in this era where we're going to have to be doing things like we're doing right now, these video calls and stuff from home. You guys almost have been prepped for this for years, because you've got like YouTube sessions you've done, like the Instagram stuff. Like, you guys are so ready.
In my gaming chair right now. I'm going to be working on my Twitch setup soon. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So, I mean, have you guys thought about like how you're going to kind of adapt for the, these kind of weeks and maybe even months to come? Have you got any plans in that way?
I mean, I know that we all have our personal things. Like, I know Maxx does Twitch. I have yet to start, but because usually, like, whenever I'm home, I'm like, I'm going to go to the studio instead, but I can't go to the studio right now. Everyone's quarantined. So I think I'm going to work on my personal Twitch. I know that, like, a while ago I used to do private lessons. I might start that up for, like, if people want to learn how to write songs and stuff. But as far as a band, as a collective goes, I know that we've been really heavily interested in doing like live, like online shows of sorts and stuff like that, and being able to get together and do some videos. But I think what we're doing first is waiting out the 2 weeks, making sure, because we just got done traveling internationally. And I won't lie, there's a little bit of anxiety involved with that, because we were on a plane like elbow to elbow with a bunch of people we don't know, and hearing coughs in the distance. We just want to know first and foremost that we are not infected by any means. And once we know that we are, the three of us, not showing symptoms for at least 2 weeks, then I think that's when we're going to be ready to reconvene and make sure that, because we don't want to infect anybody else, or especially if just one of us gets it. Some of our friends and other bands have, tested positive for it. So it's just a crazy thing. Again, to go back to what we were saying before, to have to consider these things, but we have to. But you're absolutely right. Like, we're itching to get online and just reconnect. We had all those YouTube videos before that we would do when we lived together, and I could see something like that in our future.
Yeah, you're pioneers of this new era, man. This is what everyone's going to be going back and ripping off your ideas now. It's like, oh yeah, writing a song with all the people in the YouTube comments. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hey, man,
we might try
when
that.
You're stuck at home, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, so true. So true. Yeah. Before we wrap it up, man, something I did want to mention, amazing thing, the Creative Crisis Collective, which I know you guys are a part of, and various other bands. Let's just let people know about what that's all about. An incredible project, right?
Yeah, well, it's absolutely amazing. It's obviously when you're on tour, when you're in a band in general, when you're on tour, that's kind of a primary source of income. And that's just kind of how a lot of people pay their bills in general when you're in. I think a lot of people have this misconception that if you're on Spotify, you're rich. If you're on Apple Music or anything like that, you've made it. You're successful. But it's not that easy at all. This is a very hard industry to be a part of. So we see that there's people in bands that are obviously, they can't go out and they can't tour. And the people that I don't think anyone's really keeping in mind is the crew. Like our tour manager, Jimmy Boswell, now one of our best friends. He's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. When he's not on tour, he's working at his local venue. That's his life, is that. And all these other people where their lives are based around large gatherings, and they don't have that job right now. And trying to find someone who's providing a job is even more difficult. So this collective is really brought an amazing opportunity for everyone to literally collect and come together. And if just by buying a t-shirt that you might already want, you're helping out people through these trying times. So I just think it's a really cool movement in general.
Yeah, really important idea. The link's on the website, by the way, if you've not checked it out. I encourage you to go and check out. Go support loads of bands and their crews. It's really important right now. Cody, it's always a pleasure to chat to you, man. I hope we get to do it face-to-face sooner rather than later. I really do.
Yes, same.
And in the meantime, you and the boys stay safe. Get working on that new music. We look forward to hearing it. And yeah, we'll catch up with you again very soon, I'm sure, man.
Thank you so much, man. Great talking to you again.
Yeah, always a pleasure. All right, Cody Carson, everybody. Cheers, man.